Здравейте! В днешното видео ще разгледаме огромния скандал, който избухна в модната индустрия миналата седмица и как модните брандове ни лъжат. Останете до края на видеото, защото много маски ще паднат и много лъжи ще бъдат изобличени. Може би обичате модата и винаги сте си мечтали за някоя от уникалните чанти на Шанел, Диор, Ермес. Марки, които имат историческа стойност и са свързани с лукс, блясък, скъпи и красиви чанти. Много модели, актриси, модни икони, инфлуенсъри и успели жени носят чанта Шанел или Ермес. Снимат се с чантите си в луксозни кафета и ресторанти и на бляскави коктейли. Както знаете, една чанта на Луи Вютон, Шанел или Ермес струва 1000 евро. Луксозните брандове винаги са оправдавали високите цени на чантите с скъпата изразботка от висококвалифицирани и талантливи занаятчии във Франция и Италия, скъпите материали, които използват и уникалния дизайн. Оказва се обаче, че това е просто една добре украсена лъжа. В TikTok бяха качени видеа на китайски производители, които твърдят, че шият чантите на най-луксозните марки, като Ермес, Шанел, Луи Вютон в Китай за 10% от цената на чантата в магазина. Китайските производители разкриха, че реалната цена на чантата Бъркин, която се продава в магазините на Ермес за $38 000, реално струва $1400, за да бъде произведена. Също така в видеята показаха производствените цехове, материалите и как китайци изработват чантите. Китайците разкриха също, че надписът Made in France или произведено във Франция, който е част от всяка чанта, всъщност е лъжа. 9-10% от чантите на Ермес се произвеждат в Китай. След това се превозват до Франция, където луксозния бранд им слага само довършителни неща като лого, етикети и други. Тези довършителни работи им дават правото да сложат надписа «Произведено във Франция», но истината е, че голям процент от чантите са произведени в Китай. Марките залъгват клиентите си, че чантите се произвеждат във Франция и Италия от талантливи и добре обучени френски и италиански занаятчии, но истината най-накрая лъсна. Китайците използват най-скъпите материали за произвеждането на тези чанти, но предлагат много по-ниска цена за труда си от французите и италианците. Ето защо луксозните марки предпочитат да изнесат продукцията си в Китай, за да си намалят разходите. Проблемът е, че лъжат клиентите си, че всичко се произвежда във Франция и Италия, защото едно е клиентите да вярват, че всичко е произведено във Франция и да са готови да платят 1000 евро за нея. Друго е да знаят, че тя се произвежда в Китай. Това веднага би намалило интереса на клиентите и съответно цената на чантата. Същото се отнася за модните къщи на Луи Вютон, Шанел, Диор, Прада, Найк, Ролекс и много други. Освен това не става въпрос само за чанти, а за различни продукти като обувки, маратонки, часовници и така нататък, които се произвеждат в Китай, транспортират се до Италия, Франция, Америка и други държави и се продават на цена 100 пъти по-висока от цената, на която е произведена. Този скандал буквално взриви модния свят. Акциите на Ермес се сринаха с 9 билиона, а клиентите са бесни. Появиха се гневни видеа в TikTok от клиенти, които са си купили скъпата чанта Бъркин и не могат да повярват, че тя може да бъде произведена в Китай и че марката така ги е излъгала. Скандалът е наистина огромен и застрашава да срине модната индустрия.
More than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Vuitton, you name it. But for this, I am not proud because we were only making our wages. The profit margin for the people who are actually making the bags are very low. What I'm really proud of is that first, we have the best quality control. Two, we have the best craftsmanship. You know, Chinese craftsmen are always intelligent and diligent. Three, we have the most complete supply chain. We always get what we want, like zippers, accessories of any kind, any color, and leathers immediately. Now, as the USA and its little European brothers are trying to refuse Chinese goods, don't you think luxury brands are not trying to move move their OEM out of China? Yes, they did, but they failed because the OEM factories out of China, they don't have good quality control and they don't have as good craftsmanship. Their workers are either too expensive or too lazy. 3, they don't have any supply chain. They always have trouble getting leather or zippers or any accessories. That is why they failed, and that is why we will always be the best OEM factory for luxury brands. Why don't you just contact us and buy from us? This Birkin bag at Hermes boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory? Today, I'm going to break it down in front of you, step by step. First thing first, Hermes only use the leathers from the 3 top-level suppliers. One is called Nuti from Italy. The second is Weinheimera from Germany, and the third is Haas from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin, okay? And next, the thread. And of course, for Hermes Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's called Fil al Chinois from France. This is actually the Rolls Royce in thread. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. And then the hardware. See, this hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel. For one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD. The edge oil. This edge oil is imported from Italy. It's called heat seal edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, it used lambskin imported from France. For each bag, the cost will be 100 USD. And also inside, there is a zipper from Riri brand. And the zipper for one bag is 10 USD. And then the cost of human resource. The French artisans is much more expensive than Chinese artisans. To finish one bag, the human resource cost will be 600 USD. The package, this is not as expensive, it's 10 USD. So now to sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one Birkin out of factory. But why Hermes will charge you 38,000 USD for one bag? That's because more than 90% of the price is paid for its logo. But if you do not care about the logo, you just want the same quality, same material, you can just buy from us. Because for our bags, we use exactly the same material, same leather, same hardware, same edge oil. The only difference is one, we don't have the logo, so we don't have to pay so much amount of money just for that logo. And second, our human resource is much cheaper. This is why this bag from our factory only costs you 1,000 USD.
Who is the Chinese supplier behind product? Bags are from Siton Handbag in Dongguan City, Guangdong Province. It's a factory specializing in handbags for 54 years, and it produces 80% of the world luxury bags. Siton Handbags is also the OEM factory for Tory Burch, Coach, MK, and many others. It produces more than 1 million leather goods every month and is one of the largest and the best luxury bags supplier in the world. A luxury bag will cost you at least $500, but you can get the same quality for just $50 to $100 here. Which brand Chinese suppliers do you want to know?
Made in China, the bag can never be luxury. However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China, but those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that. That way, the bags will appear at their boutiques as made in Italy or made in France. You know, those sophisticated European countries, which make you feel mysterious, royal, and thus luxury. Now, close your eyes. Let's just do a little very easy experiment in your head, okay? Imagine that you have an Hermes bag, and suddenly the label on it changed from made in France into made in China, while everything else, like leathers, zippers, and hardware, remain the same. Do you suddenly feel that your bag is not as luxury as before? If you do, that means you have been misled and poisoned by the market campaign of those luxury brands for too long. Welcome to the real world. Now you see, those bags are made in China by our intelligent and diligent Chinese artisans. Let's not be poisoned and misled by the market campaign any longer and be a real person. Buy a bag from us, from our factory in China. See the real world for yourself.
Crash out. Seriously, I'm crashing out. China, they on our ass. Let me tell you something. Y'all see all these damn bags that I have? Okay? These are the bags they're talking about. Like, I have a Birkin, a Fendi, a Louis. I've never even used this bag yet. A Chanel, Louis, Fendi, Chanel, Gucci, Louis. And you're telling me what I have spent on all these bags, I could have went to China and got them and not spent all this money? China, I'm coming. But let me just show you all the bags that I actually really have. Look at this. Jack Moose, Louis, Hermes, Louis, Dior, 3 Chanels, Fendi. Why is it sale? Chanel, Louis, Chanel, Louis, Gucci, Chanel. All of this stuff that I spent my hard-earned money on, all of this, are you freaking telling me that I overpaid for all of this shit? Let me go on Expedia or whatever and find me an airline ticket to China because I'm coming. I'm coming to see y'all. Look for me. And I also want to add that this Louis wallet, it legit say made in France. Made in France. I am now checking all my shit. China. I'm coming.
80% of Nike's shoes are made by Chinese factories. Xifeng Shoes produces Nike Air Force 1 series. Yuyuan Shoes manufactures Nike YC series. And this factory produces almost all Nike's high-end basketball shoes. Nike's sneakers are made by Li Feng Shoes in Putian City. Do you want to know the Chinese supply behind other brands? Tell me in the comments.
These are 2 baskets of Hermes. If I don't show you the logo, how can you tell which is from the boutique and which is from my factory? Don't worry, let me show you some details now. This bag has this double stitching, also has this double stitching. And the interior, suede. This interior, suede too. And here, on this strap, there is signature of artisan who made this bag. There is also signature of artisans. So, now, can you tell which is from boutique and which is from my factory? Let me tell you, now is the moment of truth. This is from the boutique, and this is from my factory. This costs 600 USD, and this only costs less than 1/10 of it. Are you interested? Just contact me.
Which Chinese factory supplies Lululemon? Number 1, Xianglong Apparel. A lot of yoga suits are from this factory. They're also the OEM for Fila and UA. Number 2, Hongqishan Clothing. They also produce some yoga suits for Lululemon. A Lululemon yoga suits on Amazon sells for nearly 200 USD, but the similar quality and the material one only needs 10 USD. If you want to bring more profits to your clothing business, contact me.
Your made in Italy Gucci 80% come from Chinese factory. They just add the logo in Europe to make you pay the price of 10 times. Close your eyes. If your hammer says made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not quality issue. It's luxury brand washing. Fun fact, the hand stitching your product, 42% are Chinese artisans. We don't do cheap, we do underrated luxury. Why pay 2,000 Europe for Parisian air? Same leather, same craft, just without the European fairy tale facts. Be a luxury rebel, you can shop on Chinese platforms such as Taobao, 1688, Tianmao, Jingdong. You can even go directly to Guangzhou, Yiwu, Quanzhou, Wenzhou to buy. Don't know how to buy, how to pay, or arrange delivery? Just PM me. GoNest provide free shopping guidance and shipping services for you.
Alo Yoga makes their clothes. Manchu Times Fashion or ManchuTimesFashion.com is their supplier. It's a family-run business that's expanded into a worldwide team. They're able to make products like this, and this. If you're trying to grow your business by finding a specific manufacturer, comment product and I'll personally reach out so we can find a solution. Let me know what you want to see next.
Hello, luxury handbag store. Gucci, why are your handbags so expensive? Sir, these handbags are handcrafted in Italy by the finest Italian handbag makers with decades upon decades of experience in... let me go ahead and check your factory. Hello, Gucci Handbag Factory. How much does it cost to make a handbag? 15 to 20 euro for the leather, 2 euro for the zipper, and some money to pay us to actually make it. Ah, yes, they must pay a lot for your fine Italian craftsmen to make this in Italy. Italian craftsmen? Kid, these are made by newly arriving Chinese immigrants who have no experience whatsoever working under the table for below minimum wage. Oh. Well, at least it's made in Italy. Sure, but we got factories in China that can do it for way cheaper. You see, as long as 2 steps of the entire manufacturing process happen in Italy, we can slap on the Made in Italy logo and sell it for a premium. Oh, so how much does it actually cost to make one of these bags? Anywhere from $100 to $200. Oh, but then they sell it for thousands of dollars, and most of that margin is used to market it to convince you that you need designer brands, because guess what? Designer brands are marketed not to the rich, but to the poor middle class who think they'll look rich. Best of luck, folks, and let me know if you have any comments.
Where's the video of the Chinese brands exposing the watch industry? Where is that? I've seen movies.
Got you right here. This is a CF Rolex I got from Shenzhen for only 120 USD, and it still ticks. Everything is perfect.
Watches come in different sizes. A small dial makes you always slimmer, while a large one makes you a stronger area. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex data just is the best choice for cost effective.
There are now claims that Rolex, the luxury Swiss watch brand, has been making parts, and sometimes whole watches, in China. Yeah, the same Rolex people spend $10,000, $20,000, even more on. In this video, I'm showing you the real clips, footage from inside factories, insiders speaking out, a watch expert who says he got fired for telling the truth, and a veteran dealer explaining how you can just buy a Rolex clone because it's the same product. I am showing everything. Let's get into it.
做成了基本程序。你这是哪个程序？车窗上哪个程序和表的？哦，表格。直接从你这个程序咯。
For years, Rolex was more than a watch. People believed they were buying Swiss craftsmanship passed down through generations, sold millions of watches, and built a global empire. But that image is now falling apart. Real footage from inside Chinese factories showing what looks like Rolex production happening far from Switzerland. Workers filming rows of watches, parts being assembled in bulk. It was visual proof that the handmade Swiss masterpiece story wasn't the full truth. Everyone thinks Rolex means Swiss. It says Swiss made on the dial, so people assume the entire watch is built in Switzerland. But that's not how it works.
打包之后好漂亮哦。 半成品的表带，磨了之后它就不会擦手了。
Places like Shenzhen are producing cases, dials, movements, entire watch components at massive scale. Those parts get shipped to Switzerland, where they're put together, stamped Swiss-made, and sold for thousands. That $20,000 Rolex, it might have been built in the same room as a $200 replica. The difference is branding, not craftsmanship.
Are Swiss watches really made in China? I went to Shenzhen to find out. It's the epicenter of Chinese watch manufacturing, and according to this one expert,
Tissot make about 4 million watches a year, 300 watchmakers in Switzerland. Do the math.
There's compelling evidence that Swiss-made on the dial doesn't mean the watch was made or constructed in Switzerland. When I did find the higher quality knockoffs, they all pointed me in the direction of one particular factory. Unfortunately, they wouldn't let me film inside, but I can tell you the quality was very high. Certainly, lots of micro brands manufacture in Shenzhen, as well as lots of big brands.
It's estimated that over 90% of the world's watch production, luxury or not, runs through Shenzhen at some stage. Brands know it. They've relied on it for decades. They just never talk about it. For years, these factories operated behind without any media access. Brand contracts were kept private. But now we're seeing real footage filmed by workers inside the very same factories that have supplied parts to big-name luxury brands. In those videos, there's no mistaking what's happening. You can see recognizable luxury watch designs being assembled in rows.
As soon as you see this video, please don't spend a lot of money on a watch. I am a watch factory from China. Because I can no longer bear that you spend tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy watches, I take the risk of offending all brands to tell you one thing. In fact, watches do not need to be that expensive. I can let you get a big brand watch with 1% of the original price.
In a few leaked walkthroughs, factory workers talk openly about the production scale. Some say they ship thousands of units per week, many of which end up going through private label deals, white label shipments, or straight to brand-approved facilities overseas. Some brands even fly inspectors in from Switzerland to sign off on batches before they're boxed and labeled. That way, the paper trail still ends in Switzerland. It's no longer just factory footage or insider leaks. Now, we're seeing respected professionals who've been deep inside this industry exposing the truth. One of the most damning revelations came from a former Swiss watchmaker known as the Watch Regulator, who worked for one of the largest groups in the game, Swatch Group. That includes Omega, Tissot, Breguet, Blancpain, and more.
I got fired from Swatch Group today for talking about their products on TikTok. Before we get into the reasons why I was fired, just for the people that don't know, Swatch Group is a large Swiss watch group that comprises brands like Omega, Longines, Tissot, Breguet, Blancpain, Rado, Hamilton, and of course Swatch. For the reasons that I got fired was for this video where I talk about how Swiss watch brands say they service your watch but actually just swap out the movement for a new one, and that was classified as a breach of company confidentiality. Oh, and also, how could I forget when I talked about how Omega parts for watches weren't made in Switzerland but were instead made in China. That's probably a big one.
He confirmed that not only are major components like cases, dials, and hands made in China, but even the diamond-studded parts of watches marketed as luxury come from Asian suppliers. He was replacing parts on a high-end gold watch, only to realize everything, except maybe a cheap $5 quartz movement, was stamped from Asia.
Are Rolex watches made in China? So what I know to be true, and having seen with my own beady little eyes while working at Swatch Group, who own, is that they have bracelets, dials, cases, hands, movement components, all made in China. I've seen the packaging for them, I've seen the country of origin stamped on them, I know that to be true. Rolex mass-produced watches are the best mass-produced watches you can get. They make, what, 1.2 to 1.5 million watches a year. They're not made by hand. They're made on a production line. They do machine pretty much everything. There's no hand finishing. It doesn't take them a year to make a watch. They're the best mass-produced watch. They're the Toyota Corolla of watches.
He even breaks down the Swiss-made label, how it doesn't mean what you think it means. According to Swiss law, a watch can be labeled Swiss-made as long as 60% of its production cost happens in Switzerland. But that includes design, admin, even marketing, things that have nothing to do with actual craftsmanship. In practice, that means a watch could be 80% built in China, then flown to Geneva where someone screws on the backplate, and boom, it's suddenly Swiss-made. The man knows what he's talking about. He's showing proof. He said this has been going on since at least the 1970s. And just when it couldn't get more clear, a veteran watch dealer with 15 years in the business says it straight. Some of these fakes are perfect. Modern counterfeit Rolexes, especially models like the Datejust and stainless steel Daytona, are now so precise that even certified watchmakers are being fooled.
More quality.
Oh, the quality of the knockoff is becoming crazy. They've been replicating the cards, even the cards, the paperwork for the watches. They've been doing it. It's scary.
Rolex mostly?
Rolex, Richard Mille, like anything, just name it, you'll see it.
The materials, the movements, the detailing, everything checks out. One fake passed inspection by two separate experts. It wasn't caught until much later, after it was resold. But this isn't just about the watch. These replicas come with everything: NFC cards, warranty booklets, branded boxes, instruction manuals, microfiber cloths. Even the internal chips that scan to Rolex's official site are duplicated. Every piece of the experience copied exactly. And the reason the clones are so accurate to the real Rolexes is because the people making these fakes are the same ones producing components for the real thing. Same factories, same tooling, same workers. When a legitimate batch is done, the machines don't stop. Another run starts, same specs, just without a logo. One shipment gets a Rolex stamp and a flight to Switzerland. The other hits the replica market. The same product, just with a different destination. And these are the exact watches that are being sold by Chinese watch manufacturers on TikTok. So you get the same watch at a fraction of the cost of the real one. Something happened that Rolex swore would never happen. Something that shatters everything the brand spent a century building. Rolex has reduced prices on several of its key models. These aren't promotional discounts or seasonal sales. They are permanent cuts. For a company that built its brand on exclusivity and stability, this move signals a major shift. These changes follow a flood of viral content exposing how luxury watches, including Rolex, share manufacturing roots with far cheaper models. The videos are backed by footage from Chinese factories, internal documents, and whistleblower testimony, showing how components and assembly processes overlap between high-end and entry-level brands. Consumers have seen watches made in the same facilities as Rolex, using the same tools and techniques, sold at a fraction of the price. That kind of exposure destroys perceived value. Once buyers see that the product is not fundamentally different in material or craftsmanship, price becomes harder to justify. Collectors have started questioning the resale value. Resellers are reporting slower turnover. Demand at the inflated gray market prices is cooling. Inventory is backing up. Rolex's pricing correction is a response to this shift in perception. The company cannot afford to let resale value collapse entirely. Lowering prices at the source is one way to re-anchor value before the secondary market does it for them. It's a defensive move to protect the brand's long-term image in a market that is now far more informed and less forgiving. If Rolex keeps prices high, while consumers now see the product as mass-manufactured, the brand risks being associated with overpricing rather than prestige. That threatens future demand. Reducing prices allows them to maintain some narrative control. For years, luxury brands have relied on the fact that consumers never saw how the product was made. Marketing created distance. Packaging created mystique. Swiss-made created comfort. But the internet closed that distance in an instant. Now anyone can see what used to be hidden behind trade secrecy and brand mythology. The exposure of shared supply chains, overlapping production lines, and Chinese manufacturing involvement has destabilized the credibility of the entire sector. Brands that built their reputations on Swiss identity, on hand-assembled movements and artisanal detail, are now implicated in practices that mirror mass production. When consumers see the same hands, machines, and factories producing both a $200 knockoff and a $15,000 timepiece, the illusion of exclusivity disappears. Collectors are reacting first. Many have already begun offloading pieces before resale values drop further. Watches once seen as investments are now viewed as liabilities. Resellers are watching margins shrink, gray market prices are dropping, some dealers are sitting on inventory that just months ago would have been snapped up within hours. The shift is happening quickly, and no brand is immune. This isn't limited to Rolex. The same facilities in Shenzhen supply parts or finished watches to multiple luxury labels, brands that continue to market themselves as pure Swiss operations. Those companies are now in silent mode, delaying launches, scaling back marketing, and trying to distance themselves from the public conversation. But silence doesn't create trust. And with factory footage, supplier documents, and first-hand testimony spreading daily, the damage is already done. The market will not go back to the way it was. That era is over. What comes next is something entirely different. Brands that adapt, that stop hiding behind empty phrases and start being transparent about their process, may survive. Some may even thrive by leaning into quality over illusion. But the ones that continue to depend on secrecy and symbolism, they're on borrowed time. If you own a Rolex today, it still carries weight. The name still sparks recognition, but this could be the last generation where that's true. Because once a luxury brand is revealed to be mass-produced, the meaning behind the brand doesn't fade. It vanishes.
След излизането на видеята в TikTok, модните марки мълчат и това мълчание е оглушително. Тяхната реакция трябваше да бъде да опровергаят твърденията, като покажат фабриките им за производство на чанти във Франция и Италия. И всички щяха да млъкнат, а клиентите им щяха да са спокойни. Но това не се случи. Вместо това Ермес и Луи Вютон определиха видеята като лъжи и се заканиха, че ще съдят китайските производители, които пуснаха видеята в TikTok. Клиентите са разочаровани и някои от тях започнаха да търсят отговори и да препродават чантите си. Ще продължаваме да следим случая и да ви информираме за всичко ново около него. Ако това видео ви е харесало, ви молим да натиснете палец нагоре и да се абонирате за Epic Stories, за да продължавате да гледате интересни, скандални и актуални видеа. Желаем ви усмихнат и успешен ден!